Hello everyone, thank you so much for clicking on today's video and welcome to my channel. This story takes place in Glasgow and is pretty recent. It's the tale about an entitled neighbour who, in my opinion, keeps breaking and entering onto OP's property. But luckily, justice is served. I do hope that you enjoy this story. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. Anyways, on to the story. I'm so glad that I found this subreddit because I have a legit crazy neighbor with boundary issues. I, a 29-year-old female, don't have any kids but have my younger sister living with me, who's 16, for around 10 years, and we have a trampoline still in our back garden from when she was younger. Neighbor to the left of me has 4 kids and moved in about a year ago. 2 weeks ago, Glasgow started getting really good weather, so the kids have been out playing constantly, which isn't an issue. They asked if I could let the kids use the trampoline one day, so I was like, sure, but only for a bit because I have friends coming over for some drinks. 7 p.m. comes, I ask them to go home because my 5 friends have shown up and we're going to be drinking. Cue the crying. They leave the garden upset. But hey, that's not my issue. They've been on it for 3 hours at this point. Their mom pops her head out of the window and asks if they can stay in the garden longer. No. I'm not your babysitter. She's annoyed, but drops it. Last week, I come home from some shopping and, to my surprise, find all 4 of the kids in the garden, plus their younger cousin. I ask them to leave, tell them that they can't just come into my garden without me there, and they didn't even ask. They refuse to leave, so I shout up at their mom and tell her to get them out of the garden. She says, let them play for a little bit, you don't even use it. Okay, but still, it's not your garden. Eventually we get into an argument and they leave. She's pissed off and shouting, saying that I'm being a Karen and that I should let them in. I tell her not to ask again because the answer will be no. This happened again the day after. All 4 of the kids, plus their cousin, waiting until I move the car from the drive and heading straight into the garden. So I wake up this morning. I've since put a lock on the trampoline, just a small one on the mesh safety enclosure to stop them from opening it up, cause I'm petty AF. Plus it's Saturday. I'm not working today, my day off, and I want a long lie. But no, neighbor decides that at 9 a.m. this morning, her kids are being fired straight out that house with breakfast bars and a bottle of water, and they head straight into the garden. So I can hear them from my window. I look out and I tell them to leave. By the time that I get downstairs, Mum has descended from her house and is trying to climb the fence between our gardens, shouting about how I used to let them use it, and she's going to call the police for hitting her kids. Great, you do that. I'll be sure to show them the Ring camera footage, which coincidentally also has footage of your husband picking the lock open so your brats can use the trampoline. So long story short, entitled mother sends her kids into my garden repeatedly even after being told no to, calls the police on me for harassment and hitting her kids, and ends up getting her own husband arrested for theft and housebreaking and criminal damage. Suck it, B. OP then went on to add some edits. Some people have asked if I could sell the neighbor with the trampoline. She has a V-shaped garden and the smallest one on the street. The trampoline is about 12 feet and wouldn't fit. I also gave her a bunch of my sister's old stuff when she first moved in, but have barely interacted with her since this. OP also added, I decided that it's not worth the hustle. 10 minutes ago, I took a knife and slashed the part you jump on. My brother is coming on Tuesday to help me dismantle it, and we'll take it to the local recycling center. Then there were some relevant comments by OP. Someone commented, that crazy entitled B. Great ending to the story, but you're not being petty at all. Your house, your garden, and trampoline. I think I would have either taken the trampoline away or spread something really nasty all over it. OP responded, I honestly was doubting posting this because I didn't want people thinking that I hate kids and I'm just being a B. But it's the audacity of sending them in without even asking. Don't think they'll be back, but the next time I see them, I'll definitely spray something. Someone commented, I have 2 of my own kids and think that you're being very reasonable. The mom next door seems to think that you're her free childcare and playground. OP responded, absolutely. Believe me, if I could have given her it, I would have. I just happen to have the widest garden in this area. But because she's on the corner, her garden is V-shaped, so it wouldn't fit. The first time I asked her to leave, I was just annoyed because I had washing out and they left their shoes on the flower bed. Plus, no one even asked. Hey everyone. I thought I'd give a quick update on what's happened since this incident. I had a few messages from people, so I figured some might be interested to know. The main point, I guess, is that the day after this happened, I spoke to the police about the charges and asked if they could let it go. There was a charge of theft too, because the dad had moved tools out of the way and threw them into his garden, but they got thrown back in, so I wasn't missing anything. They initially asked me if I wanted the oldest kid charged. She looks a lot younger, I assume 10, but she's actually 13, because she was the one who climbed the fence first, then went through my drive to open the gate and let the younger kids in without climbing over. I've since seen the dad at a local shop. He just sort of apologized quickly and thanked me for letting it go. I think the realization that his daughter could have been arrested was a wake-up call. I haven't heard an explanation though. Maybe he wasn't thinking about how serious it would end up. The mum, on the other hand, absolute crazy woman. I had mentioned that she told the police that I had hit her kids, which was absolutely untrue. But she also decided to tell a couple of neighbors that I hit them. I've since had 2 people ask me about this. She also put some sort of barbed wire at the top of the fence. I don't know, to stop me from climbing over. She's also chained her outdoor grill, barbecue, and dismantled the swing set that I gave her when she moved in. And I thought I was petty. On a maybe related note, I had a visit from the SSPCA about animal abuse, even though I don't own any pets. They seem pretty annoyed about being called out for a prank, so I don't know what happens with that. I've also been asked about my sister's involvement with the story. I just mentioned her at the beginning because I wanted to explain why I, as a 29-year-old, had a trampoline in my back garden. She also wasn't home at the time because she has clubs on. By the time she got back, it was all over. Overall though, I haven't had any more issues from it. The trampoline is now gone. The kids haven't really been out because it's been raining the past week. I rarely see the dad around as he works, and the mum spends her days in her own garden, being the most obnoxious Glasgow ma you could imagine. And then there were some relevant comments from OP. Someone commented, well, that was nice of you to drop the charges. The mom is only bolting her belongings down and putting wire up at the top of the fence to make others think that she was the victim. I wouldn't hesitate to show the video though to any neighbors that confronted me about the situation. Your reputation is important also. Don't let others mistake you taking the high road and your silence as you being guilty of something you aren't. To which OP replied, I get the feeling that she told the neighbors her husband got let out of jail because they realized he had done nothing wrong, not because I had asked them to. The 2 that asked me, I showed the video to them and they were pretty shocked because she made it sound like I ran at her kids and hit them on the back of their heads. Someone commented, you're nicer than me in dropping the charges. Also, you gave them a swing set, but they insisted on coming over to jump on your trampoline. I would have slashed the thing the second time it ever happened and let them cry about it. It's not that I absolutely hate children, but I don't like entitled kids and especially don't like their entitled parents. I would have been on their behind for trespassing. You're a nice person, and they're damn lucky for that. But sounds like entitled mom is still pushing her luck. Maybe she didn't get the hint that both her husband and daughter risked arrest and or jail time. OP responded, when she first moved in, they had very little, and I gave her a swing that has a slide attached and my sister's old bike for the youngest. Plus, my friend was getting rid of a pram, so we gave her that too. It's the audacity though of just coming onto my property. And then the commenter replied, the audacity of coming onto your property uninvited, but also after you gave them tons of stuff? Your kids can go swing or ride the bike. Good grief. It just gets worse and worse the more details that you go into. Sounds like the absolute worst neighbor. Someone else commented, would just like to say that there's nothing wrong at all with a 29-year-old having a trampoline. I wish my garden was big enough for one. You're never too old for that fun. OP responded, knowing my luck, I would have absolutely broken a bone, and I made it to 29 without breaking one. It's gone now, so I'm a little sad, but there is now space for a hot tub. Definitely a grown-up thing I can enjoy. So guys, what did you think about this story? Honestly, not only was this neighbor extraordinarily entitled, but they were also a choosing beggar. Like, OP had given them so much stuff and yet they still wanted to go into the pool. Alright, so putting aside the fact that this was OP's property and it was up to them to decide whether someone else's children were allowed on their property or not, there's also the whole dynamic of the fact that these are kids and honestly they should be under supervision when playing with something like a trampoline. What if they got hurt or something? My gut tells me that if something had happened to the kids, the entitled neighbor would have definitely blamed OP for it. Anyways, I do hope that you enjoyed this story. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to hear more stories from Reddit with updates, please subscribe.